There is a condition in SketchUp known as sticky geometry. Sticky geometry refers to the fact that faces and edges merge together when they touch. This behavior can be helpful for creating models, but is also a source of frustration when unwanted connections occur. For example, take these two volumes here. Imagine this is a piece of furniture, and we want to place it in the middle of this room. Once the geometry touches the face of the floor, it fuses with the face and becomes part of the same geometry. If we needed to move the object, it would be difficult. SketchUp no longer sees the cube as an independent piece of geometry. So wherever we move it, the geometry it is fixed to is also affected. To manage sticky geometry, we need to organize all the different elements of a model into separate groups. This will isolate geometry and prevent elements from sticking. Sticky geometry is also referred to as loose geometry. Loose geometry essentially means stray geometric elements that are not organized or contained within a group or component. We create a group by first selecting the geometry. The quickest way might be to triple-click on the object, then right-click and select Make Group. Notice how this grouped object now appears. You can tell the difference between grouped and loose geometry by clicking on it. Grouped geometry appears with a bounding box of blue lines. With loose geometry, you can still select individual faces and lines. There should never be any geometry that isn't either in a group or a component. We'll cover components in another video. For now, we'll focus on groups. How you organize groups will depend on the type of model you're making. In architecture and interiors, it is good practice that every floor and wall is in a separate group of its own. This will provide the control and flexibility needed to make revisions. For example, if walls are not isolated from floors, it's difficult to move them around. Grouping separate elements of the model is easy if you start out grouping and continue to group each element as you go. It's almost impossible to work backwards. Once geometry is stuck and you continue to add things, it gets complicated. In many cases, it's quicker to just start again. Let's demonstrate. Create a floor plane 10 feet by 20 feet. Give it a thickness of 10 inches. Then select the whole floor by triple-clicking. Then right-click and Make Group. The geometry of the floor is now in a group. It is isolated from the rest of the model. Now create a wall. First, make a rectangle. Then push-pull to a height of 8 feet. Then select the whole wall by triple-clicking. Then right-click and Make Group. The wall geometry is now isolated from the rest of the model. Now, to move the wall, it's much easier. Say we need to move the wall in from the edge by 20 inches. First, click on the group. Then select the Move tool. Then click anywhere and start moving the wall. Lock the axis of movement by tapping an arrow key. Then type the dimension and hit Enter. Then tap spacebar to clear the tool. Now, say we need to put a door opening in this wall. A common mistake is placing a rectangle on the surface outside of the group and then using push-pull to punch out the hole. The reason this doesn't work is because the geometry of the wall is isolated inside the group. The rectangle is loose outside the group. If we click the face of the rectangle and zoom in and out, notice how the texture of the face shimmers. The shimmering tells us that there are two faces in the same location. This can only occur when two separate faces are isolated from each other. When we hide the wall group, we can see more clearly what's happening. Hide the wall by selecting it, right-click, and select Hide. Now we can see. Because the geometry of the wall was isolated inside the group, we just created a separate cube outside the group. So let's delete this geometry. Unhide the wall by going to Edit in the menu bar. Go to Unhide, then select Last. To edit the geometry of the group, we need to go inside the group. Double-click on the group. This isolates the rest of the model, and the geometry of the group becomes loose and editable. Once we're inside the group, we can create a door opening in the normal way. To come out of the group, first tap spacebar to cancel the tool. Then, click once anywhere outside of the group or hit Escape.